Picture this. You're walking through life, carrying the weight of someone else's negativity, their harsh words, their manipulative games, dragging you down like a storm cloud over a clear sky. We've all met those toxic people who seem to sap our energy, leaving us frustrated, drained, or even questioning our own worth. But what if you could shield yourself from their chaos, not by fighting back, but by mastering your own mind? Welcome to ZENLIGHT, where we dive deep into the timeless wisdom of Stoicism to arm you with practical, life-changing tools. In this video, we're unpacking 13 Stoic-inspired strategies to handle toxic people with unshakable calm, compassion, and resilience. These aren't just ancient ideas. They're battle-tested techniques you can use right now, whether it's a negative coworker, a draining friend, or even that voice on social media trying to pull you into their drama. Stick with us until the end, because by the time we're done, you'll have a toolbox to protect your peace and thrive in any storm. Hit that subscribe button, take a deep breath, and let's step into the Stoic path together on ZENLIGHT 8. Imagine you're standing at the gates of your own fortress, a sacred place where your peace, your strength, and your sense of self reside. This is your inner citadel, a sanctuary you've built to weather the storms of life. But out there, beyond the walls, there are threats. Toxic people who, with their words and actions, try to breach your defenses. They might be a coworker who never misses a chance to criticize, a friend who always sees the glass half empty, or even a family member whose subtle manipulations leave you second-guessing yourself. These are the emotional barbarians of our modern world. And if you want to protect your fortress, the first step is learning to spot them before they get too close. This is where the ancient Stoics, those masters of calm in the face of chaos, come in. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, said it best: "You are not disturbed by things, but by the view you take of them." In other words, it's not the toxic person's words or actions that harm you. It's how you interpret and respond to them. That's the key to Stoic wisdom. You can't control what others do, but you can control how you see it, how you let it affect you. So, let's talk about how to develop that Stoic gaze, a calm, clear lens to see through the fog of negativity and protect your inner peace. Start by picturing yourself as a sentinel, eyes sharp, scanning the horizon for danger. Toxic people often reveal themselves through patterns. They might criticize constantly, not to help you grow, but to chip away at your confidence. Maybe it's a colleague who always points out what you did wrong in a project, never acknowledging your effort, leaving you feeling small. Or perhaps it's a friend who turns every conversation into a complaint fest, draining your energy like a phone left on overnight. Then there are the manipulators, the ones who use guilt trips, flattery, or even veiled threats to bend you to their will. I remember a time when I had a friend like this. Every favor I did was met with a subtle jab like, "Oh, you're so kind, but I bet you're too busy to help me again." It was exhausting, like running a marathon with no finish line. These behaviors aren't random, they're signs of toxicity, and recognizing them is your first line of defense. But it's not just about spotting the behavior. It's about understanding the types of toxic personalities you might encounter. There's the narcissist, always craving admiration, charming at first but leaving you emotionally spent when you realize it's all about them. I once worked with someone like this, a guy who'd light up the room with charisma but would sulk or lash out if the spotlight wasn't on him. Then there's the gossip, thriving on drama, spreading rumors like wildfire, pulling everyone into their chaos. And don't forget the energy vampire, those people who, after a single conversation, leave you feeling like you've run a mental marathon. They don't mean to, sometimes, but their constant negativity clings to you like damp clothes after a rainstorm. The Stoics would tell us to observe these patterns without judgment, to see them for what they are, not personal attacks, but reflections of someone else's inner struggles. Now, let's make this practical for your life today. In our fast-paced, always connected world, toxic behaviors aren't just in person, they're online too. Think about that ex post you scrolled past, the one with a snarky comment designed to get under your skin, or the group chat where one person always stirs the pot, turning a lighthearted convo into a battleground. To apply Stoic wisdom here, try this. Next time you encounter someone's negativity, whether it's a coworker's jab or a stranger's rant online, pause. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, is this about me or is this about them? 9 times out of 10, it's about them, their insecurities, their frustrations, their inability to find peace. By seeing it this way, you're not just protecting your fortress, you're building a moat around it, keeping their chaos at bay. To deepen this practice, try keeping a journal for a week. Write down moments when you feel drained or upset after an interaction. Note what the person said or did, and then reflect. What's the pattern? Are they criticizing, manipulating, or just dumping their negativity on you? This isn't about blaming them. It's about training your Stoic gaze to spot the signs early. I did this myself a few years back when I was stuck in a toxic work environment. Writing it down helped me see that my boss's constant critiques weren't about my work. They were about his need to feel in control. That realization was like flipping a switch. I stopped taking it personally, and suddenly, his words lost their power over me. This Stoic approach isn't just about defense, it's about empowerment. By understanding toxic behaviors, you're not just guarding your peace, you're reclaiming your mental space. You're saying, this is my fortress and I decide who gets in. In a world where we're bombarded with negativity, on social media, at work, even at home, this skill is your shield. So as we move forward, let's build on this foundation. How do you not just spot the threat, but fortify your walls against it? Let's dive into that next. Picture yourself as a Stoic emperor, standing tall on the ramparts of your inner citadel, gazing out at a world that can be both beautiful and brutal. Your fortress, your emotional well-being, your peace of mind, is under constant siege. Toxic people, with their relentless negativity or cunning manipulations, are like invaders testing your defenses. But here's the thing, you're not powerless. You're Marcus Aurelius, a leader who ruled an empire not by shouting or fighting, but by mastering reason and resolve. The secret to keeping your fortress strong lies in one word: boundaries. These are the walls that protect your peace, the lines you draw in the sand to say, this is where I stand, and this is what I will not allow. In today's world, where we're pulled in a million directions, work emails piling up, social media notifications buzzing, family expectations weighing heavy, boundaries aren't just nice to have, they're essential. Let's explore how to build them, Stoic style, so you can stand firm no matter who tries to storm your gates. The Stoics believed that true strength comes from controlling what you can and letting go of what you can't. You can't control a toxic person's words or actions, but you can control how much access they have to your inner world. Think about someone in your life who drains you. Maybe it's a friend who calls every week to vent but never asks how you're doing. Or a coworker who turns every meeting into a chance to nitpick your ideas. I had a situation like this once. A family member who'd call at all hours, unloading their problems like I was their personal therapist. It left me exhausted, like I was carrying their baggage on top of my own. The Stoics would say, recognize what's crossing your line and then fortify your walls. Start by identifying what behaviors you won't tolerate. Is it constant negativity? Passive-aggressive jabs, demands on your time that leave you stretched thin? Be honest with yourself. This isn't about judging the other person. It's about knowing your limits. Once you've identified those lines, the next step is communicating them with the clarity and calm of a Stoic emperor. This isn't about confrontation. It's about conviction. Use I statements to express your needs without accusing. Instead of saying, "You're always so negative," try, "I feel overwhelmed when conversations focus only on what's going wrong." Be specific too. Vague boundaries are like crumbling walls, easy to breach. Instead of saying, "I need space," and say, "I'm not available for calls after 8 p.m., but I'd love to catch up on weekends." I tried this with that family member. I said, "I really care about you, but I can't talk for hours every day. Let's set a time to catch up each week." It wasn't easy, but it was like putting up a gate. Clear, firm, and fair. And here's the key. You have to enforce those boundaries consistently. If you let them slip, it's like leaving your fortress unguarded. If someone ignores your limit, calmly restate it. If they persist, you might need to limit contact or even walk away. This isn't cruelty, it's self-preservation. In our modern world, boundaries are more complex than ever. Toxic interactions don't just happen face-to-face. They creep into your inbox, your DMs, your group chats. I saw a post on X the other day where someone was venting about a friend who kept sending passive-aggressive texts. The Stoic move: don't engage. You might reply with a neutral, "Thanks for sharing, I'll catch up with you later." Or not respond at all. Online boundaries mean curating your digital space, muting, unfollowing, or even blocking if needed. It's not about being cold, it's about protecting your mental bandwidth. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, warned against letting envy or negativity invade your soul. By setting boundaries, you're not being selfish, you're creating space to live with intention, to focus on what truly matters: your growth, your relationships, your peace. To make this practical, try this exercise. Grab a notebook and draw a line down the middle. On one side, list the behaviors that drain you. Maybe it's a colleague's constant complaints or a neighbor's gossip. On the other side, write down the boundary you'll set, like, "I'll redirect the conversation to something positive," or "I'll limit our talks to 10 minutes. Then, practice stating it out loud, calmly, like you're channeling Marcus Aurelius himself. This small act builds confidence, like reinforcing your fortress brick by brick. Over time, you'll find that boundaries don't just protect you, they empower you. They let you decide who gets to share your space and who doesn't. And in a world that's always trying to pull you into someone else's chaos, that's a superpower. So now that your walls are up, how do you handle the moment when a toxic person tries to bait you into their drama? Let's explore that next. Imagine a storm brewing on the horizon, dark clouds swirling with negativity, ready to unleash their chaos on your inner peace. That storm is the emotional barbarian, a toxic person who thrives on drama, who pokes and prods, hoping to spark a reaction that fuels their fire. Maybe it's a coworker who drops snide remarks about your work, fishing for a heated comeback, or a friend who always seems to stir up conflict, waiting for you to take the bait. I've been there, dealing with someone who'd turn every conversation into a verbal sparring match, leaving me drained and frustrated. The Stoics, those masters of inner calm, have a brilliant strategy for this: become as uninteresting as a gray rock. This isn't about shutting down or being cold. It's about becoming a smooth, neutral surface that gives their negativity nothing to grip onto. Let's dive into the gray rock method, inspired by Stoic wisdom, and see how it can transform the way you handle those emotional storms in today's chaotic world. Seneca, the great Stoic philosopher, said, "True happiness is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future." Toxic people often feed on your emotional reactions, whether it's anger, hurt, or even excitement. They want to pull you into their vortex, to make you part of their drama. The gray rock method flips the script. Instead of engaging, you respond with calm, neutral, almost boring replies. Picture a coworker saying, "Your presentation was okay, but I could have done it better." Instead of defending yourself or snapping back, you say, "Thanks for the feedback." That's it. No fuel, no fire. I tried this once with a neighbor who loved to gossip about everyone on our street. Every time she started, I'd just nod and say, "That's interesting." After a while, she stopped coming to me with her rumors. She had no drama to latch onto. It was like watching a storm pass over without a single drop hitting me. This method works because it starves the emotional barbarian of what they crave: attention. In our hyper-connected world, this is more relevant than ever. Think about the trolls on X or the comment sections that turn into battlegrounds. Someone posts a snarky remark, hoping to drag you into an argument. The Stoic move? Don't engage. A simple, "I see your point," or no reply at all robs them of the reaction they're fishing for. But let's be real. This isn't always easy. When someone's poking at your pride or your values, the urge to fight back can feel overwhelming. That's where Stoic discipline comes in. Epictetus taught us that we can't control others, but we can control our responses. By choosing to be a gray rock, you're not just avoiding drama, you're asserting your power over your own emotions. To make this practical, Try this the next time you're faced with a toxic person. Imagine yourself as a smooth stone in a river, letting their words flow past without sticking. If they criticize you, don't argue. Say something like, "I'll think about that." If they try to guilt trip you, respond with, "I understand how you feel." Keep your tone calm, your words short. Over time, you'll notice something powerful. Their attempts to provoke you lose steam. They might even escalate at first, testing your resolve, but stay steady. I remember using this with a family member who loved to push my buttons. Every time they tried to start an argument, I'd just say, "That's one way to look at it." Eventually, they moved on to someone else who'd give them the reaction they wanted. It wasn't about winning. It was about protecting my peace. In today's world, where we're bombarded by notifications, opinions, and negativity, the gray rock method is like a digital shield. It works in person, online, even in your own head, when you're tempted to dwell on someone's toxic words. Try this. Next time you're scrolling X and see a comment that gets your blood boiling, pause. Take a deep breath, and instead of typing a fiery reply, just scroll past. You're not ignoring the problem. You're choosing not to let it rent space in your mind. This is Stoic strength, not fighting every battle, but knowing which ones matter. So, now that you can deflect their bait, how do you stand firm when they keep pushing? Let's talk about the broken record technique next. Imagine you're standing on a battlefield, not with swords or shields, but with words and emotions. Across from you is a toxic person, armed with manipulative tactics, guilt trips, flattery, or relentless arguments, trying to pull you into their game. It's exhausting, like being caught in a verbal tug of war with no end in sight. I've been there, dealing with a coworker who'd push me to take on extra work with phrases like, "You're the only one I can trust with this." It felt like a trap, and every time I tried to argue or explain, I'd get sucked deeper into their web. The Stoics, those ancient warriors of the mind, have a tactic for this: the broken record technique. It's simple but powerful, like a steady drumbeat that holds firm against chaos. By repeating your position calmly and consistently, you disarm their manipulations without losing your cool. Let's dive into this Stoic-inspired strategy and see how it can help you stand your ground in today's relentless world. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher who rose from slavery to wisdom, said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life." That freedom includes the right to say no, to set your limits, and to stick to them without being derailed. The broken record technique embodies this by letting you assert your boundaries with unshakable resolve. Picture someone trying to guilt you into something, maybe a friend who wants you to drop everything to help them again. Instead of debating or justifying, you repeat a clear, calm statement. "I can't help right now, but I'm happy to talk later." No matter how they push, flattery, anger, or tears, you stick to your line like a record skipping on the same note. I used this once with that coworker. Every time they tried to pile on more tasks, I'd say, "I'm swamped with my current workload, so I can't take that on." At first, they pushed harder, but after a few rounds, they backed off. It was like watching their arguments crash against a stone wall, my wall. This technique works because it disrupts the manipulator's playbook. Toxic people thrive on emotional reactions. They want you to argue, to waver, to give in. By staying calm and repetitive, you take away their leverage. In our modern world, this is a lifesaver, especially online. Think about those X threads, where someone keeps baiting you with loaded questions or snarky replies. Instead of getting drawn into a digital shouting match, you could respond with a neutral, "I hear you, but I'm sticking to my view." Repeat it if they push. It's not about winning the argument. It's about refusing to play their game. But let's be honest, staying calm under pressure isn't easy. The Stoics knew this, which is why they practiced discipline daily. To make this real for you, try practicing your record in advance. Pick a boundary, like not answering. Work emails after 6 p.m. and rehearse a line. "I'm offline after 6, but I'll get to this tomorrow." Say it out loud until it feels natural, like a reflex. Here's another layer. The broken record technique isn't just about words, it's about mindset. You're not just repeating a phrase, you're reinforcing your commitment to your own peace. I remember using this with a family member who'd guilt me into attending every event, even when I was stretched thin. I'd say, "I love spending time with you, but I can't make it this time." It wasn't just about saying no, it was about believing I had the right to choose my time. Over weeks, that repetition built confidence, like laying bricks in my inner fortress. In today's world, where we're bombarded with demands, bosses expecting 24/7 availability, friends texting at midnight, strangers online demanding your opinion, this technique is your shield. Try it this week. Pick one situation where someone pushes your boundaries and decide on your line. Maybe it's, "I need to focus on my priorities right now." Stick to it, no matter how they respond. You'll feel a shift, a quiet strength that says, "I'm in control." This Stoic strategy isn't about being rigid or rude. It's about clarity and self-respect. You're not fighting the toxic person. You're protecting your inner calm. And in a world that's always trying to pull you into someone else's chaos, that's a radical act of freedom. So now that you can stand firm against manipulation, what do you do when they try to hook you with drama? Let's talk about not taking the bait next. Imagine you're fishing by a quiet lake, the water's still, your mind at peace. Suddenly, a toxic person casts their line, baited with a juicy insult, a guilt trip, or a provocative jab, hoping to reel you into their emotional storm. Maybe it's a coworker who says, "You always mess this up," waiting for you to snap back. Or a stranger on X who comments, "Nice try, but you're clueless," daring you to dive into an argument. I felt that tug myself. Once, a friend made a snarky remark about my career choices and I could feel my blood boiling, ready to fire back. But the Stoics, those masters of inner strength, teach us a better way. Don't take the bait. This isn't about ignoring the problem or bottling up your feelings. It's about choosing indifference, not apathy, to protect your peace. Let's explore how Stoic indifference can help you sidestep drama and stay steady in a world that's always trying to hook you. Epictetus, the Stoic who lived with nothing but his principles, drew a line between apathy and indifference. Apathy is giving up, shutting down, not caring at all. Indifference, Stoic style, is different. It's detaching from the negative emotions that cloud your reason while staying engaged with what matters. When a toxic person baits you, they're counting on your reaction, anger, defensiveness, hurt, to fuel their drama. By choosing indifference, you're saying, "I see your bait, but I'm not biting." Think about that coworker's jab. Instead of arguing, you might say, "I'll keep that in mind," and move on. Or that X comment, skip it entirely. I tried this with that friend who criticized my career. Instead of defending myself, I just nodded and said, "Interesting perspective." The conversation fizzled out, and I walked away with my peace intact. It was like watching their bait sink to the lake bottom, untouched. This strategy shines in our modern world, where drama is everywhere, online, at work, even in casual conversations. Scroll through X and you'll see it. People tossing out hot takes or snide remarks, fishing for reactions. The Stoic move is to recognize the bait for what it is, a trap. Pause and ask yourself, what do they want from me? Am I giving them power by reacting? 9 times out of 10, their words are about their own insecurities, not you. By staying indifferent, you starve their drama of oxygen. But this takes practice. Our instincts scream to fight back, to prove we're right. The Stoics knew this, which is why they trained their minds daily. Try this. Next time someone baits you, maybe a family member who always criticizes your choices, visualize their words as a fishing hook. See it dangling, tempting, but let it pass. Respond with something neutral like, "I hear you," or nothing at all. You're not dismissing them. You're choosing your peace over their chaos. To make this real, let's go deeper. I once got caught in a heated X thread where someone kept twisting my words, trying to drag me into a fight. My first impulse was to clap back, to set the record straight. But then I remembered Epictetus. You are not disturbed by things, but by the view you take of them. I stepped back, took a breath, and didn't reply. The thread died out, and I felt free. That's the power of indifference. It's not about being cold. but about being in control. In today's world, where every notification feels like a demand on your attention, this skill is gold. Try keeping a mental tally for a day. How many times do you feel the urge to react to someone's negativity? Each time you resist, you're building stoic muscle. Over time, you'll find their bait loses its pull, like a hook that's rusted and dull. This isn't about becoming emotionless, it's about choosing which emotions to invest in. The Stoics believed in cultivating positive feelings, like compassion and gratitude, while letting go of those that drag you down. By not taking the bait, you're not just dodging drama, you're creating space for what matters: your goals, your relationships, your growth. So, now that you can let their bait sink, how do you master the art of silence when they keep swinging? Let's dive into the power of non-reaction next. Picture a verbal gladiator stepping into the arena, armed with sharp insults and biting sarcasm, ready to draw you into a battle of words. This is the toxic person who thrives on conflict, who hurls barbs to provoke a reaction, hoping to pull you into their emotional coliseum. Maybe it's a colleague who cuts you off in a meeting with a snide, "That's a terrible idea," waiting for you to fire back. Or someone on X who replies to your post with a mocking, "Wow, you really think you're an expert?" I've faced this myself. A friend who'd turn every disagreement into a full-blown debate, leaving me drained and defensive. The Stoics, those champions of inner calm, offer a surprising weapon: the art of the non-reaction. Silence, when wielded with purpose, can be more powerful than any comeback. Let's explore how this Stoic strategy can disarm toxic people and keep your peace unshaken in a world that's always ready for a fight. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor who faced endless challenges, wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." When a toxic person attacks, they expect a response: anger, defensiveness, anything to keep the fight going. By choosing silence, you break their script. Imagine that colleague's jab in the meeting. Instead of arguing, you nod slightly, say nothing, and move on. Their words hang in the air, powerless, like a punch that misses its mark. I tried this with that argumentative friend. When they tried to bait me into a debate about politics, I just smiled and stayed quiet. The tension fizzled out, and they changed the topic. It was like watching a gladiator swing at an empty arena. Without an opponent, their fight falls flat. Silence isn't weakness. It's a signal of strength, a declaration that you won't play their game. In today's world, where arguments erupt everywhere, online, at work, even at family dinners, this strategy is a game changer. Think about X, where a single post can spark a firestorm of comments, each one trying to outdo the last. Someone attacks your opinion, hoping you'll jump into the fray. The Stoic move: don't let their words sit unanswered. I saw this in action when a friend posted a heartfelt story on X, only to get a nasty comment tearing it down. Instead of replying, she ignored it, and the troll moved on. Her silence spoke volumes. Your negativity doesn't deserve my energy. But silence isn't easy. Our culture rewards quick comebacks, viral clapbacks, the loudest voice in the room. The Stoics, though, knew that true power lies in restraint. To practice this, try visualizing yourself as a mountain, unmoved by the wind of their words. Next time someone provokes you, maybe a family member who always criticizes, pause. Count to 5 in your head, and let the urge to respond pass. You'll feel a quiet strength growing inside. Let's make this practical. The non-reaction isn't just about silence, it's about presence. You're not zoning out, you're choosing to stay grounded. I started practicing this at work when a boss would nitpick my projects in front of everyone. Instead of defending myself, I'd nod, say, "Noted," and keep my focus. Over time, their jabs lost their sting, and I gained respect for staying cool under pressure. In our digital age, this works wonders online. Next time you're tempted to reply to a snarky X comment, try this. Close the app, take a deep breath, and ask, "Does this deserve my energy?" Most times it doesn't. By not reacting, you're not just avoiding drama. You're modeling Stoic virtue, showing others what it means to rise above. Try keeping a mental note for a week. How many times do you resist the urge to react? Each moment of silence is a brick in your inner fortress. This Stoic art isn't about being passive, it's about being deliberate. You're not ignoring the toxic person, you're choosing what's worth your time. In a world that's always pushing you to react, to prove yourself, silence is a rebellion. It's you saying, "My peace is mine to protect." So now that you can wield silence like a shield, how do you protect yourself when you can't avoid the toxic person entirely? Let's talk about limiting your exposure next. Imagine your inner citadel as a garden, lush with peace, purpose, and joy. A place you've cultivated with care. But outside its walls, toxic people lurk like weeds, their negativity threatening to creep in and choke your growth. Maybe it's a coworker whose constant complaints turn every coffee break into a gripe session, or a family member whose drama follows you like a shadow, no matter how hard you try to stay calm. I've been there, stuck in a group chat where one person's endless rants made my phone feel like a ticking time bomb. The Stoics, those gardeners of the soul, knew that even the strongest walls can't block every threat. Their solution? Limit your exposure. You can't always control toxic people, but you can control how much time and energy you give them. Let's explore how this Stoic strategy can help you protect your garden in a world that's always trying to overrun it. Epictetus, the Stoic who found freedom in discipline, said, "Happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one principle. Some things are within our control, and some things are not." You can't make a toxic person change, but you can decide how much space they occupy in your life. Sometimes this means physical distance, avoiding them entirely if you can. If it's a friend who drains you with negativity, maybe you skip that weekly lunch date saying, "I'm tied up, but let's catch up another time." I did this with a neighbor who loved stirring up drama about our community. I started taking a different route to avoid those quick chats that left me exhausted. It wasn't rude, it was self-care, like pulling weeds before they spread. But let's be real, total avoidance isn't always possible. Toxic people can be coworkers, family, even people you see daily. That's where emotional distance becomes your tool. Emotional distance means staying present without letting their negativity take root in your mind. Picture a coworker who's always complaining about the boss, the workload, the weather. Instead of joining in or trying to cheer them up, you observe their words like a scientist studying a storm. Curious, but detached. You might say, "Sounds tough," and shift the conversation. I learned this with that group chat. Instead of engaging with the ranter, I'd mute notifications and check in only when needed. It was like building a moat around my garden. Their chaos stayed on the other side. In today's world, this is crucial, especially online. X can be a jungle of negativity, trolls, rants, endless debates. Limiting exposure means curating your feed. Unfollow accounts that stress you out. Mute threads that spiral into toxicity. It's not about hiding. It's about choosing what nourishes your soul. To make this practical, try this exercise. Think of one toxic person in your life, online or off. Write down how often you interact with them. Daily calls, weekly meetings, constant X notifications. Now, brainstorm ways to cut that exposure in half. Maybe it's declining non-essential invites like, "I'm swamped this week, let's reconnect later." Or setting digital boundaries like turning off notifications after 8 p.m. I started doing this with a family member who'd call to vent for hours. I set a rule, one 30-minute call a week, and I'd gently end it if it ran over. It wasn't easy, but it gave me back hours of mental space. The Stoics would call this focusing on what's in your control, your time, your attention, your peace. This strategy isn't about running away. It's about creating space to thrive. Seneca warned against letting negativity, like envy, poison your mind. By limiting exposure, you're not being weak, you're being strategic, like a gardener who prunes dead branches to let the tree grow stronger. In a world that's always demanding your energy, this is your rebellion, choosing who and what gets access to your garden. So, now that you can keep toxic weeds at bay, how do you ensure your garden stays strong? Let's talk about building your support system next. Imagine your inner citadel as a fortress under siege, its walls strong but tested by the relentless negativity of toxic people. You've learned to spot their threats, set boundaries, and dodge their drama. But even the mightiest fortress needs allies. Toxic people can feel like a storm that never ends, draining your energy and shaking your resolve. I've felt this. A time when a toxic boss's constant criticism left me doubting myself, like a lone soldier facing an army. The Stoics, those wise architects of resilience, knew that no one thrives alone. Their solution? Build a support system, a Stoic phalanx of trusted friends, family, or mentors who lift you up and remind you of your strength. Let's explore how this strategy can fortify your soul and help you face toxicity with unshakable calm in today's chaotic world. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher who valued virtue above all, believed in living in harmony with nature, including the nature of human connection. A support system isn't just nice to have, it's your lifeline. These are the people who listen without judgment, who remind you of your worth when a toxic person tries to tear it down. They're your sounding board, your cheerleaders, your reality check. I remember leaning on a close friend during that rough time with my boss. I'd vent about the latest unfair critique, and she'd listen, then gently say, "You're killing it, and he's just scared of your shine." Her words were like armor, shielding me from his negativity. In our modern world where toxic interactions can come from anywhere, work, family, ex comments, a support system is your anchor. They're the ones who help you see through the fog, reminding you that you're not alone in the storm. Building this phalanx starts with intention. Think about the people in your life who inspire you, who share your values, who make you feel stronger. Maybe it's a coworker who always has your back, a family member who gets you, or even an online community on X where people uplift each other. I found this in a local book club, strangers at first, but over time we became a tribe, sharing life's highs and lows with honesty and support. The Stoics would say, surround yourself with those who embody the virtues you aspire to. Wisdom, courage, justice. These allies don't just comfort you, they challenge you to grow. To make this real, try this. List 3 people you trust and reach out to one this week. Maybe it's a coffee date, a phone call, or a message saying, "Hey, I appreciate you." Small acts like these build bonds that hold strong when toxicity strikes. In today's world, a support system isn't just in person, it's digital too. X can be a double-edged sword, a place of toxicity, but also of connection. I follow accounts on X that share Stoic wisdom or personal growth tips, and their posts often feel like a pep talk when I need it most. But building a support system isn't just about receiving, it's about giving. The Stoics valued reciprocity, so be the ally you seek. Listen to a friend's struggles, celebrate their wins, share a kind word. I started doing this with my book club, checking in on members when they seemed quiet. It wasn't just about helping them, it strengthened our bond, making us all more resilient. Try this. Next time you're on X, comment something uplifting on a post you resonate with. That small act can spark a connection that becomes part of your phalanx. This strategy isn't about dependency. It's about interdependence. Your support system is your team, your tribe, your Stoic army. They don't fight your battles for you, but they give you the strength to face them. In a world that can feel isolating, where toxic people try to dim your light, these allies keep your fire burning. So, now that you've got your phalanx, how do you keep your fortress strong from within? Let's talk about prioritizing self-care next. Picture yourself as a Stoic warrior, battle-worn from facing toxic people whose negativity threatens to sap your strength. Your inner citadel stands tall, but every encounter with their criticism, drama, or manipulation is like a blow that leaves you bruised. I've felt this exhaustion, a time when a toxic coworker's constant jabs left me mentally drained, like I was running on fumes. The Stoics, those resilient souls who faced life's storms with grace, knew that no warrior can fight without tending to their wounds. Their answer? Prioritize self-care. This isn't about bubble baths or spa days, though those are great. It's about treating your mind, body, and soul like the sacred fortress they are. Let's dive into how self-care, Stoic style, can recharge your resilience and keep you thriving in a world that's always testing you. Seneca, the Stoic who urged us to live with intention, said, "Seek solace in nature." For the Stoics, self-care was about aligning with the natural rhythms of life, resting, reflecting, and rebuilding. Toxic people can deplete you, leaving you feeling like a phone at 1% battery. Self-care is your charger, restoring your energy so you can face the next challenge. Start by carving out time for activities that light you up. For me, it's a morning run, 5 miles through my neighborhood. The world quiet, my mind clear. It's not just exercise, it's a reset, like sweeping cobwebs from my soul. Maybe for you, it's painting, cooking, or strumming a guitar. Whatever it is, schedule it like a meeting you can't miss. In our hustle-driven world where we're expected to be on 24/7, this is radical, saying, "My well-being comes first." In today's digital age, self-care also means mental hygiene. X can be a fire hose of opinions, rants, and comparisons that drain your peace. I started setting a rule: no scrolling after 9 p.m. Instead, I'd read a Stoic text or journal, reflecting on my day. That small shift was like closing the gates of my citadel, keeping toxicity out. The Stoics practiced mindfulness too, not modern meditation apps, but a deliberate focus on the present. Try this. Sit quietly for 5 minutes, focus on your breath, and let thoughts of toxic people drift by like clouds. I do this when a coworker's negativity lingers in my head. It's not about erasing the feeling. It's about letting it pass without taking root. This practice builds a mental muscle that keeps you steady, whether you're facing a snarky email or a family member's guilt trip. Let's make this practical. Your body is your ally, and it's always talking to you. Notice when you're tired, tense, or burned out. I ignored those signs once, pushing through a toxic work environment until I crashed, sick, stressed, and miserable. Now I listen. If I'm sluggish, I nap for 20 minutes or eat a real meal, not just coffee. Try this. For 1 week, track your energy. When do you feel drained? After a call with a negative friend, a late-night X scroll? Then, replace one draining habit with a nourishing one. Maybe a walk in a park instead of checking your phone. The Stoics loved nature, and science backs them up. A 30-minute walk in green space can lower stress and boost mood. I make time for a hike every weekend, and it's like hitting a reset button on my soul. Self-care isn't selfish, it's strategic. In a world that glorifies hustle, where toxic people try to pull you into their chaos, prioritizing yourself is a Stoic act of defiance. You're saying, "My peace is worth protecting." By recharging, you're not just surviving, you're thriving, ready to face any storm with a full battery. So, now that you're tending to your inner strength, how do you keep toxic people's negativity from sticking to you? Let's talk about remembering it's not about you next. Imagine a dark cloud rolling over your inner citadel, casting shadows of doubt and frustration. That cloud is a toxic person's negativity, their harsh words, their criticism, their drama, threatening to dim your light. Maybe it's a boss who snaps, "This report is garbage," or a stranger on X who comments, "You're so out of touch." It's easy to take it personally, to let their venom seep into your soul. I've been there, stung by a friend's offhand remark about my lifestyle, wondering if I was somehow failing. But the Stoics, those masters of perspective, offer a liberating truth. It's not about you. Their negativity is a reflection of their inner storm, not your worth. Let's explore how Stoic detachment can help you see through their clouds and keep your peace shining bright in a world that's often overcast. Epictetus, the Stoic who faced hardship with unwavering calm, said, "It's not things that upset us, but our judgment about things." When a toxic person lashes out, it's tempting to think their words are a verdict on you. But the Stoics urge us to step back, to practice prohairesis, a kind of mental detachment that lets you observe their behavior like a scientist, not a victim. Their criticism, their anger, their manipulations are often projections of their own fears, insecurities, or pain. I learned this with that friend's comment. At first, it hurt, until I realized they were struggling with their own choices and projecting their frustration onto me. It wasn't about my life, it was about theirs. That shift was like parting the clouds, letting sunlight back into my mind. In our modern world, where feedback is instant and often brutal, this Stoic lens is a shield. Think about X, where a single post can draw a barrage of criticism. Someone calls your opinion stupid. It feels personal, but is it? 9 times out of 10, their words say more about their mood, their biases, their day than about you. The Stoic move is to pause and reframe. This is their storm, not mine. I started doing this at work when a colleague would nitpick my ideas. Instead of internalizing it, I'd think, they're stressed about their own deadlines. It didn't erase the sting, but it kept it from festering. To practice this, try a simple exercise. Next time someone's negativity hits you, write down what they said and then ask, what might be going on with them? Maybe they're insecure, overworked, or just having a bad day. This isn't about excusing them. It's about freeing yourself from their weight. Let's go deeper. Detachment doesn't mean apathy. It means compassion without entanglement. The Stoics believed in understanding human nature, including its flaws. A toxic person's behavior is often a cry for help, even if it's disguised as an attack. I saw this with a family member who'd snap at everyone during holiday gatherings. At first I took it personally, thinking I'd done something wrong. Then I noticed they were loneliest during those times, lashing out to mask their pain. Bro, seeing it as their struggle, not mine, I could stay calm and even offer kindness without getting sucked in. In today's world, where we're bombarded with negativity, angry emails, snarky comments, road rage, this perspective is a superpower. Try it this week. When someone's toxicity tempts you to take it personally, visualize their words as a cloud passing over your citadel. Let it drift by, knowing the sun, your worth, still shines above. This Stoic strategy isn't about dismissing your feelings. It's about redirecting your focus. By remembering it's not about you, you're not just dodging negativity, you're reclaiming your mental space for what matters, your growth, your goals, your peace. In a world that's always trying to make you doubt yourself, this is your anchor. So, now that you can see their storm for what it is, how do you resist the urge to fix them? Let's talk about letting go of that impulse next. Picture your inner citadel as a thriving garden, blooming with peace and purpose. Across the way, you see another garden, someone else's, overrun with weeds of negativity, anger, or manipulation. It's tempting to step in, to pull those weeds and restore their garden to beauty, especially if it's someone you care about. Maybe it's a friend whose constant complaints weigh you down, or a coworker whose drama disrupts the team. I've felt this urge. A family member's toxic behavior used to pull at my heart, making me think, if I just say the right thing, I can help them change. But the Stoics, those wise tenders of the soul, warn against this trap. Don't try to fix them. Their garden is their responsibility, and trying to take it on drains your own. Let's explore how this Stoic principle can free you from frustration and keep your garden flourishing in a world full of tangled weeds. Epictetus, the Stoic who mastered acceptance, said, "There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will." You can't control a toxic person's choices, their words, or their path to change. Trying to fix them is like trying to make the sun shine on a cloudy day. It's exhausting and futile. Their negativity, their manipulations, their pain are theirs to carry, and only they can choose to tend their garden. I learned this with that family member. I'd spend hours offering advice, suggesting therapy, trying to save them from their own chaos. But nothing changed, except me. I was drained, frustrated, and neglecting my own peace. The Stoics would say, focus on your own virtues, wisdom, courage, self-control, and let others walk their path. In our modern world, where self-help culture glorifies fixing others, this Stoic wisdom is countercultural. Think about X, where people often share advice or call out toxic behavior, hoping to spark change. It's noble, but it can backfire. I once replied to an X post, gently suggesting someone's negativity might hurt their relationships. They doubled down, attacking me instead. That's when I realized you can't force someone to see their weeds. The Stoic move is to accept what's beyond your control. This doesn't mean giving up on people. It means respecting their agency. Change comes from within, and your role isn't to be their gardener but to tend your own. To practice this, try this. Next time you feel the urge to fix someone's toxicity, maybe a friend who's always venting, pause and ask, is this mine to solve? Then redirect your energy to something you can control, like a self-care ritual or a kind word to someone else. Let's go deeper. The Stoics valued compassion, and letting go of the fixer role doesn't mean turning cold. You can still offer support, subtly, respectfully. Maybe you share a book on mindfulness with that complaining friend, saying, "This helped me, thought you might like it." Or suggest a therapist to a struggling coworker, framing it as, "I know someone who found this helpful." I did this with my family member, leaving a Stoic book on their table without preaching. They didn't read it, but I felt lighter knowing I'd offered a seed without trying to force it to grow. In today's world, where we're connected 24/7, this balance is key. You might see a loved one's toxic posts on X and want to intervene. Instead of diving in, try a private message. "I'm here if you want to talk." Then step back. You've shown care without taking on their burden. This Stoic strategy isn't about abandonment, it's about empowerment. By letting go of the need to fix others, you're freeing yourself to cultivate your own garden. You're saying, my peace, my growth, my virtues are my focus. In a world that pulls you into everyone else's chaos, this is your rebellion. So, now that you're tending your own garden, how do you know when it's time to walk away entirely? Let's talk about that next. Imagine your inner citadel as a sanctuary, a sacred space where your peace and purpose thrive, carefully guarded by the Stoic strategies you've built. But sometimes, despite your strongest defenses, your boundaries, your indifference, your self-care, a toxic person's negativity keeps hammering at your walls, like a relentless siege that won't relent. Maybe it's a friend whose drama never ends, pulling you into their chaos no matter how hard you try to stay calm. Or a coworker whose manipulations make every workday a battle. I've faced this. A relationship where every interaction left me drained, like I was pouring water into a cracked bucket. The Stoics, those masters of reason and resilience, teach us a final powerful act, knowing when to walk away. This isn't defeat, it's a Stoic choice to protect your sanctuary. Let's explore how to recognize that moment and step away with strength in a world that often guilts us into staying. Seneca, the Stoic who valued time above all, wrote, "The whole future lies in uncertainty. Live immediately." Every moment you spend in a toxic relationship is time stolen from your growth, your joy, your peace. Walking away isn't about giving up on someone, it's about choosing yourself. But let's be honest, this is hard. Society tells us to stick it out, especially with family or longtime friends. I struggled with this in that draining relationship. They were someone I cared about, and I kept thinking, if I try harder, things will get better. But the Stoics remind us, you can't control others, only your response. If their negativity consistently breaches your defenses, it's a sign to protect your sanctuary. Walking away doesn't mean hatred or drama. It means prioritizing your mental health, like a captain steering a ship away from a storm. In our modern world, where connections are complex, work, family, online communities, this Stoic wisdom is vital. Think about X, where you might follow someone whose posts constantly stress you out. Unfollowing or muting them is a small act of walking away, preserving your peace. At work, it might mean distancing yourself from a toxic colleague, politely declining non-essential meetings or redirecting conversations. I did this with a coworker whose gossip poisoned our team. I started saying, "I'm swamped, let's keep this work focused," and gradually reduced contact. It wasn't a grand exit, just a quiet shift that saved my energy. To know when to walk away, try this. Reflect on a toxic relationship. Have you set boundaries, tried communicating, offered support? If their behavior persists, draining your peace, it's a signal. Ask, is this relationship nourishing my citadel or tearing it down? If it's the latter, it's time to act. Let's make this practical. Walking away doesn't always mean cutting ties completely. It can be a gradual retreat. With a friend who's always negative, you might reduce contact saying, "I'm focusing on some personal goals, so I'll be less available." With family, it might mean shorter visits or neutral topics. I used this with a relative whose criticism wore me down. Instead of arguing, I limited visits to once a month and kept talks light. It wasn't a full break, but it protected my peace. Online, walking away is easier, but just as powerful. Block that ex-troll whose comments rile you up. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. Try this exercise. List one toxic relationship, online or off, and decide on one step to distance yourself, maybe muting their posts or declining an invite. Take that step this week, and notice how it feels to reclaim your space. This Stoic act isn't about burning bridges, it's about building a moat around your sanctuary. By walking away, you're not rejecting the person, you're rejecting the dynamic that harms you. In a world that pressures you to stay, to fix, to endure, choosing yourself is a radical act of courage. So, now that you know when to step away, how do you heal from the weight of their toxicity? Let's talk about forgiving yourself next. Picture yourself on a long journey, trudging through life with a heavy backpack stuffed with resentment, anger, and pain from a toxic person's actions. Each step feels heavier, each mile more exhausting, as their words and deeds weigh you down like rocks you didn't choose to carry. Maybe it's a friend who betrayed your trust, a coworker who sabotaged your efforts, or even a stranger online whose cruel comment still stings. I've carried that weight myself. Years ago, a colleague's constant criticism left me questioning my worth, and I held on to that anger like it was armor. But here's the Stoic truth. Holding on to resentment doesn't hurt them, it hurts you. It's like drinking poison and expecting someone else to suffer. Forgiveness, in the Stoic sense, isn't about excusing their behavior, it's about setting yourself free. It's about dropping that backpack and walking forward with a lighter heart. Let's explore how to forgive yourself, Stoic style, and why it's the final, crucial step to reclaiming your peace in a world that's often anything but peaceful. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor who faced wars, betrayal, and loss, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When a toxic person hurts you, it's natural to feel anger or betrayal. Those emotions are real and they deserve to be acknowledged. But clinging to them is like letting that person live rent-free in your head, long after they're gone. Forgiveness starts with understanding that their actions are often a reflection of their own inner turmoil, not your worth. I learned this the hard way with that critical colleague. For months, I replayed their words, letting them erode my confidence. Then I started reading Stoic texts, and Epictetus's words hit me like a lightning bolt. Another person will not hurt you without your cooperation. I realized I was cooperating. By holding on to the anger, I was giving them power over me. Forgiveness wasn't about them. It was about me taking back control. In our modern world, where grudges can fester over a single tweet or a misinterpreted text, this Stoic practice is more vital than ever. Think about the last time someone's negativity got under your skin. Maybe it was a passive-aggressive comment on X, or a family member who always seems to know just how to push your buttons. The Stoics would urge you to pause and reflect. Their behavior isn't about you. It's about their fears, their insecurities, their struggles. By forgiving yourself for feeling hurt, for maybe even reacting in ways you regret, you break the cycle of negativity. This isn't about pretending it didn't happen. It's about accepting it, letting go, and choosing to move forward. I started doing this by writing a letter to myself, not to send, but to process. I wrote down how that colleague's words made me feel, then reminded myself, their criticism was their burden, not mine. It was like unloading that backpack, one rock at a time. To make this real for you, try this practice. Find a quiet moment and sit with your feelings about a toxic person. Don't judge them, just notice them. Are you angry, hurt, betrayed? Write it down or even say it out loud to yourself. I feel angry because of what they said. Then take a deep breath and say, I forgive myself for carrying this pain. This isn't about absolving them, it's about releasing yourself from their grip. You can even visualize it. Imagine setting down that heavy backpack, feeling your shoulders lighten, your steps quicken. In today's world where we're constantly connected, this practice is a lifeline. Maybe you got caught in a heated X thread, or a coworker's email rubbed you the wrong way. Instead of stewing, try reframing it. Their words are their storm, not yours. By forgiving yourself, you're choosing to walk in sunlight, not shadow. This act of forgiveness is also an act of self-compassion. The Stoics believed in living in harmony with nature, and that includes your own nature. You're human. You'll feel pain, you'll stumble, you'll carry burdens longer than you should. And that's okay. Treat yourself with the same kindness you'd offer a friend who's hurting. I remember a time when I beat myself up for not handling a toxic situation better. I should have been calmer, I thought, more stoic. But then I realized, growth isn't about being perfect. It's about learning. By forgiving myself, I gave myself permission to grow, to try again. You can do this too. Next time you catch yourself ruminating on someone's toxicity, pause and ask, what would Marcus Aurelius do? He'd tell you to focus on your mind, your virtue, your path. Let go of their baggage and keep walking toward a life of peace. This journey through Stoic wisdom, from spotting toxic threats to forgiving yourself, has been about one thing: building a life where your peace is untouchable. In a world that's louder, faster, and more chaotic than ever, these 13 strategies are your roadmap to resilience. Whether you're dodging a coworker's negativity, muting a troll on X, or healing from a past hurt, Stoicism gives you the tools to stand tall. Here at ZENLIGHT 8, we're all about turning ancient wisdom into modern strength. So, take one strategy from this video. Maybe it's the gray rock method, maybe it's forgiving yourself, and try it this week. See how it feels to take back your power. Then, come back to the comments and share your story. What worked? What was tough? Your experience could inspire someone else on their Stoic journey. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a video. Together, let's keep building our inner citadels, one Stoic step at a time, right here on ZENLIGHT 8.